Welcome back to a special edition of Grounded Spirits Podcast, a place where we're learning how to stay rooted while flying high. I'm your host, Laura Lynn, and we are looking at Taylor Swift's The Tortured Poets Department, the anthology today. We are specifically reviewing tracks 22, 23, and 24, which are So High School, I Hate It Here, and Thank You, aIMee. If you are looking to dive deeper into these tracks and really tease out the meaning behind each of them, stay tuned. So I love track 22, So High School. I feel like Taylor Swift does an amazing job of taking on this like grunge pop 90s kind of genre and then Taylor Swifting it, if you will. Just like she does to every other genre that she dips her toes in, she always makes it her own, and while still honoring that genre. And yeah, let's just jump into it. It says, I feel so high school every time I look at you. I want to find you in a crowd just to hide from you. And I feel like this is like a play on when you have a crush on someone and you can easily spot them in a crowd, yet you would die if they came up to you to talk to you, kind of thing. So I love how Taylor Swift stays true to her roots of being like the awkward, nerdy kind of girl who has a crush on the jock. And I feel like this is exactly this. And so then she goes on to say, and in the blink of a crinkling eye, I'm sinking, our fingers intertwined. So crinkling, why not twinkling eye? Or, like, because a blink of an eye is just like something that happens quickly. But why crinkling? And so after some thought, I'm thinking that it means like, like when you're laughing so hard that your eyes just like close, but they're like wrinkling. And so it's like a crinkling eye. So it's just like you guys are just getting on so well that you're laughing, and it just happens so fast that like after just like that one laugh, then I'm sinking, our fingers intertwined. So like I'm falling fast for you. I'm sinking into your quicksand, if you will. And our fingers are intertwined, so like you're holding hands. It's already like a new relationship, but just from that one laugh, everything's coming together. Cheeks pink in the twinkling light. Tell me about the first time you saw me. So cheeks pink, that means like you're blushing. The twinkling lights, so that could be at a dance or maybe just really under the actual stars. I'm thinking like in high school, like in those high school movies where they go to the lookout and the girl's so excited to go out with the jock and all of that kind of stuff. I'll drink what you think. I'll drink what you think. I'll drink what you think. Interesting. So she's saying that instead of drinking like an actual drink or like alcohol, she wants to drink his thoughts. That's kind of a cool way to say it, like she's just so enthralled by his mind that she wants to drink what he thinks. I'll drink what you think and I'm high from smoking your jokes all damn night. So I love this because, and I said it in a different episode, but I feel like this part's like a slap in the face to Joe because he always got high, and I'm sure he wanted her to smoke with him, and she was always like, no, I don't want to smoke. And so here it's like the but daddy I love you, or but daddy I love him, where she's like playing like a joke kind of like, and I'm high, and so he's like, we all think like, oh, like she got high like on weed or whatever, but then it's from smoking your jokes all damn night, And so it's just like a play on words because throughout the entire album she always talks about smoking and joking when referring to Joe. But here it's that she gets high from smoking Travis's jokes all night long. All damn night is what it says. But isn't that funny? So it's just, again, like very playful. And I feel like that's also like with the crinkling eye. It's like a very playful way of talking about like how fast it is, but how right it feels. And I feel like that's why we also get the alchemy, like who are we to stop this chemistry? Who are we to fight this alchemy? The brink of a wrinkle in time, bittersweet 16 suddenly. So that's interesting, because bittersweet means that it's a good thing and a bad thing, right? Oh, okay, so I think it's like, it's a good thing that we're laughing and we're joking and we're having such a great time that it feels like we're 16, but we're also not 16 anymore. So it's also like adding like that, the element of reality, because she just got out of this relationship where everything was fantasy, and when the second that she tried bringing it into reality, he faded, basically. And so that's why I think that's why she brings that up here. And a brink, again, so it's like the blink of an eye and then the brink in time, and then we have like that wrinkle and crinkle, which also are kind of mean the same thing, right? Or it could also just be like a wrinkle in time is also a book. So I haven't read that book, so let me see what I can find about it. Okay, so I was right that it's kind of after that book, A Wrinkle in Time, where like time and space bend. And so she's saying that we're on a brink of like quantum jumping, or like getting to our highest timeline. Like we're on the brink of it. Like that's how good this relationship is. So I think it also kind of goes with that Casey Musgrave's happy and sad at the same time. So like what I was saying about the bittersweet, like yes, because it's like fantastical, but it's also, she wants to make sure that's actually in reality this time. But I think it's also that this relationship is so good that she's also kind of afraid of it, that she's afraid like how good it is, that like what if it goes bad? And I feel like that's where like that bittersweet comes in. I'm watching American Pie with you on a Saturday night. Your friends are around, so be quiet. I'm trying to stifle my sighs, 'cause I feel so high school every time I look at you. But look at you. So it's kind of like when you're sitting with a guy watching a movie and you guys put a blanket over and like kind of like mess around, just like touching each other. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like sexual, but just like having like your own like little secret space. And so that's where she's saying like, I'm trying to stifle my sighs. I feel like sighs is another word for moans, because sighs kind of is like, it's different. But yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, because like sighs means like you're trying to like stifle like the anger or like the frustration, but here she's like, your friends are around, so be quiet. I think it's more of like stifle, like I said, like more like moans, like more like, so the other way to see like sighs would be like to stifle one's emotions, normally in a negative connotation, but here she's saying it like in a positive way. Like she's trying to stifle like her giggles, or stifle, like I said, like her moans, or stifle that kind of stuff. And she's like, I feel so high school where like I can't control my emotions around you, because every time I look at you, like it just like hits me. And she's like, but look at you, like you're so hot that of course I'm going to act like this. Of course I can't control my emotions because you're so hot. The next part reads, are you gonna marry, kiss, or kill me? It's just a game, but really, I'm betting on all three for us two. Get my car door isn't that sweet, then pull me into the back seat. No one's ever had me, not like you. So it's so cute because that first part about are you gonna marry, kiss, or kill me, this is from an actual interview where they said the reporter asked Travis, marry, kiss, or kill, and it was Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, and I think it was Katy Perry for the other one, and he didn't answer. And then the reporter says, or the interviewer says, it's just a game, like ha ha ha, like just answer it. And he's like, no, like I'm not gonna answer it. And it's so cool because the actual reporter interviewer, she was like freaking out, where she's like, I'm the one that started their love story. And so she was posting about it, like freaking out that it was like Taylor Swift actually quoted her. Then she said, it's just a game. So I thought that was really cute that she included that. So like that's what I'm saying. Like I think that she actually did have like her eye on him for a while now, but I don't think she thought that she could get him, kind of thing. And like now that it's a reality is cool. But it's also cool like for Travis's. I think that's like how you know it's the best kind of relationship, when you're both like obsessed with each other and you guys both think that you guys are out of each other's league in a way that is like cute, that you guys were both able to like get the other person. Because Travis went to one of Taylor's first shows, and like he just always like he wanted to go just to the show, just to go, you know. And so now for her to be singing songs about him at the show when he first went as a fan, like didn't even know her, kind of thing, is really cool. And then get into the car door to pull me into the back seat. No one's ever had me not like you. This is so cute because in I believe it's in The Black Dog, where she's like, I'm so scared that I won't be able to open up to anybody anymore after you, Joe. And so it's cute that she's saying, like, no one's ever had me not like you. Like, no one has ever loved me in the way that you do. Like, that unconditional love that she has been craving for her whole life, basically. So that's what she says. No one's ever had me not like you. Like, I might have been with other people, but no one has been able to have all of me like you're able to. Truth, dare, spin, bottles, you know how to ball, I know Aristotle. So here she's saying like all like the fun games as kids, like as teenagers, but she's also talking about like how they're from different worlds, you know, like he knows how to ball, but she knows Aristotle, like, and I think that just also goes to show that this is actually, like she names it, you know, like the Torture Poets Department, like this is actual poetry, like this is poetry that belongs in academia, and not necessarily just like a teen poppy kind of a song, you know, like this is her craft, where she's putting her all into these songs, and it shows, you know. Brand new, full throttle, touch me while your bros play Grand Theft Auto. So here she's talking about it's brand new, but we're going full throttle. Like we're not holding anything back. Like we're both jumping into this together, and it's the most incredible feeling to not have to hold back any part of myself, and know that he's not holding any part back. Like he's not holding back any part of himself either, and it's so refreshing. And that's where they're going full throttle, like they're going full force. Whereas in the prophecy, where she says, hand on the throttle, thought I caught lightning in a bottle. So hand on the throttle means like she was a little iffy, like she was holding on to it, like getting ready to break. Yet she really thought that she had caught lightning in a bottle, so she was so dismayed when it didn't work out that way. Then she goes, touch me while your bros play Grand Theft Auto. It's true, square, Scout's honor. You knew what I wanted, and boy, you got her. So that's like so cool too, that he wanted her and he went after her. Like she didn't have to go after somebody. Like I feel like she really put her whole effort into Joe. So it's refreshing to have somebody be all about her for once. And so yeah, I love this part too, like just to touch me while you're playing. Like you can play your games, like that's fine, that's cool, but just like include me somehow, you know, like still give me attention. It's true, swear Scout's honor, because a lot of times girls are like, no, like I don't want you to be playing games, like just pay attention to me. So I thought that was cool. And then she says it again, brand new, full throttle, you already know, babe. And then she says, I feel like laughing in the middle of practice. Do that impression you did of your dad again. I'm hearing voices like a madman. So again, it's showing like how playful and how how close they are, that they already met each other's parents. And even they got his mom to like say something about the album, and she's like, oh, like, it's incredible, like Taylor Swift's incredible. So like it's cool that like both sides are liking the other person, because it's always difficult when there's no support from the family. Then she says, in the blink of a crinkle an eye, I'm sinking our fingers intertwined. So she says the chorus again. Yeah. I was just checking to make sure there was no difference between the first chorus and the second one, because she tends to do that a lot. And then she repeats the bridge, and again, the same. So that's it. That's the whole song. So it's just saying like how romantic it is, and how happy they make each other, and how they're going all in, and I, just like in my own personal relationship, I can attest to this. Like, when I met my husband at a music festival, and 4 months later we were engaged. And so of course it took everybody aback that we were engaged, and everyone thought that I was pregnant, and I wasn't. I still haven't had a baby. But it's been 4 years later now, but everybody thought that we weren't going to last, or no, we didn't really have support from anybody, but because it was so fast that everybody couldn't believe it. But when it's true love, it's true love, and yeah, we couldn't be happier. All right, moving on to track 23. I hate it here. Quick, tell me something awful, like you are a poet trapped inside the body of a finance guy. So she's saying that the most awful thing in the whole world is, or not the whole world, but you know what I mean, like something that's so awful is when you are hiding a part of yourself, when you really are somebody else inside, and you're not letting it come out into the real world. And that's exactly what was happening with Joe, right? That he wrote some of her songs with her for Folklore under the alias William Bowery. So she knows that he's a poet, but he doesn't want to give up this persona of being a finance guy. Probably has to do with some kind of status, People make fun of poets and say that the finance route is like the stable route, and that's what you should be doing. Again, he is a Taurus moon, so he has that, and it's in the 12th house. So stability, change is really hard for him. Then she goes on to say, tell me all your secrets. All you'll ever be is my eternal consolation prize. So she's like, tell me all your secrets, but I know you're not going to tell me your secrets, so all you'll ever be is my eternal consolation prize, because I know that I can never have all of you. So it's just a consolation prize. You see, I was a debutante in another life, but now I seem to be scared to go outside. And it's interesting because this could actually be real, like looking at her birth chart, because she has Leo in her south node, and so does Travis. And so what that means is that in a previous life that she really was in the spotlight, like people knew of her, and it would make sense if she was a debutante, So it's interesting that she brings that up. But now I seem to be scared to go outside. So it's weird because I had a dream last night about Taylor Swift. But it wasn't like her, like I was her, if that makes sense. Because of course it was a dream. And I think it's like me trying to get over my fear of being seen. But I think that she, like actually Taylor Swift in this life, actually does have this kind of fear of being seen. Even though like she is well known, she is seen, but she's afraid of being seen like not while she's on stage. Like, she's afraid of being seen as a real human being, and that's why she calls herself like the monster on the hill in Anti-Hero and on Midnights, or how she also talks about being in a tower in Albatross and Cassandra. So I think that's what she's saying here. Like, I seem to be scared to go outside. If comfort is a construct, I don't believe in good luck, now that I know what's what. So here she's saying, like, that comfort is make-believe, that we created it as a society to feel comfortable with something, or to like stay in the comfort, is all made up. So she's saying that same principle can also be applied to good luck, that we just say it's good luck because that's what we've identified it as, but it's not real either, you know? Like, some people say, like, oh, you have to make your luck, but I think that she's talking about the good luck. Man, I can't remember what song it is now, but in a different song on this album, she says something along, I think it's in Clara Bow, where she's saying, like, no matter what happened, I was destined to be famous. Maybe it's in The Prophecy. That I was picked, you know, like, I picked it for myself. So it wasn't a matter of good luck that I'm here. It was because of hard work and because I believed in myself, and I created this reality for myself. So don't you dare tell me that you have to stay comfortable. And again, I think this is directed at Joe, where he enjoyed, as a Taurus moon, he enjoyed the comfort, and she's like, no, like, there's no reason to stay in the comfort zone. The only reason to live is to get out of the comfort zone and to do what it is that you need to do, like that hard work. That I don't believe in good luck. I believe in hard work and creating the reality that I want. So then she goes on to say in the chorus, she says, I hate it here, so I will go to secret gardens in my mind. People need a key to get to, the only one is mine. So when she hates her reality, when she feels trapped or caged in her reality, she's always free inside of her mind. And being an Aquarius rising, she has her Pisces a little bit in the first house, but mostly in the second house. And she, by having a Pisces in the second house, she sees everything as a metaphor. And so it's really easy for her to go inward with having Pisces in her first house. So she's saying, I can go to secret gardens in my mind, and the only key that's available is the one that I created. So no one else is allowed in this part of my mind. No one else will ever see this part of my mind. The closest you'll get is me talking about it in this song. I read about it in a book when I was a precocious child. I remember she used that same term in But Daddy, I Love Him, the precocious child that never grows up, because the precocious child is mature and like dutiful. So I wish I knew what book she was referencing here, but she's saying, like, or maybe it is like The Secret Garden, you know, like that's a book. That, like, these two little kids, I never read the book, but I watched the movie a long time ago, so I don't really remember it too much, but it might have been from there. And then she says, no mid-sized city hopes and small town fears. I'm there most of the year because I hate it here. I hate it here. So I don't really understand this part. No mid-sized city hopes and small town fears. Oh, okay. So I think she's saying, like, that is what is in the real world. Our small town fears, keeping people small, right? And mid-sized city hopes, where people want, like, this is like what I was saying the other day I think it was for the Taylor Swift thing. If not, it was in the Emerald Tablets. But it was on this podcast where I was saying, like, oh no, it wasn't even on this podcast, my bad. It's on Ela Radio, my other podcast. So on there, I was talking about how right now we're in Taurus season, yet people want luxuries, but so many people on social media are like, I don't want a mansion, I don't want a nice car, I just want to have the bare minimum and I'll be happy. And it's like, why limit yourself? Like, why not say that you can be a billionaire? Like, we're that capped. I didn't mean it like in the Gen Z way. I mean it like there was this experiment that was done with fleas, where fleas can jump like astronomical rates, like heights. They can jump so high. Like if they were human sized, they could jump over the Empire State Building like easy, no problem, right? So they put a bunch of fleas in this jar, and naturally they can all just jump out of the jar. So they cap the jar, and within one generation, when they opened up the jar, none of them jumped out. Like, they didn't even know that they had the ability to jump out of that jar. And they still jumped, but only up to where they were capped. And I think that is an accurate representation of where we are today, where we, like, our ancestors, no matter what race, all races, we've all been capped in one way or another. All of us. So by capping us, and this is with the capping of the fears, so the small town fears, so we just have mid-sized city hopes. We can't even imagine having these big-sized city hopes, like we can't even get there anymore. And it just frustrates me that people are just willing to just accept the bare minimum, because yeah, it is better than what we have now, for sure. I understand that. But why not? Like, people aren't even shooting to the stars, and I'm asking you to shoot beyond the stars. Like, your life can be so amazing that things that you can't even possibly imagine right now can exist for you in your life. As long as you keep listening to your soul and allow, how Taylor puts it here, allow that poet to come out of that trapped body of a finance guy. And yeah, this could be specifically for Joe, for sure, but I think that this could also be for all of society. Like, we're all so obsessed with money instead of looking at what the soul wants, and the soul is like the poet part, right? The money is the finance part. We're all so obsessed with money and like getting money and having money and holding on to money. But if you just focus on what your soul actually wants and what will make you feel the most free and the most you, then the money's gonna come. The nice cars, the nice house, the nice vacations, the healthcare, everything. It's gonna come as long as you keep listening to your inner self, because we all deserve to be millionaires. Like, why not? If I'm supporting you and you're supporting me, and like we're all supporting each other, we can all be millionaires. There's no reason why it should only be the top 1%, right? Everybody can be a millionaire. Everybody inside of them has $1 million idea that's just waiting to come out, that nobody else in the entire world could bring it out, like bring it into existence the way that you can. Through your experiences, through your perspective, through your connections. No one can have that same impact that you do. Yet we have these small town fears that keep us kept off. All right, moving on. My friends used to play a game where we would pick a decade we wish we could live in instead of this. I'd say the 1830s, but without all the racists and getting married off for the highest bid. Everyone would look down because it wasn't fun now. Seems like it was never even fun back then. Nostalgia is a mind's trick. If I had been there, I'd hate it. It was freezing in the palace. So she's saying that no matter where, no matter what century, no matter what time, it wouldn't matter. She would still hate it because it was freezing in the palace. So the palace, so it's so interesting that she uses this terminology, because St. John of the Cross, he wrote this book, and now I can't remember what it's called, but he worked with Saint Teresa, and Saint Teresa, it was either her or him, one of them, I think it was her, wrote a book about like a castle in the Carmel, or the Carmel Castle, something along those lines. And he was talking about this palace which is a representation of the soul. Yet the palace was freezing, or like maybe it was like supposed to be the body, so then the soul was like the flame that was supposed to keep the palace warm, but because the soul was trapped, it wouldn't keep the palace warm, so it was freezing. So now here it is with Taylor Swift, and I don't know if she read it or not, but that's exactly what she's talking about here, that in any time period, in any decade, if your soul is not free, you would hate it there. Because if your soul is not free, then you cannot possibly attain positive freedom, which is like self-mastery or self-realization or self-actualization, like living up to your true potential. If you're not seeking that, if you're not seeking, like in today's world, we're always like seeking purpose, like, oh, what's my purpose? Your purpose changes day to day. What you should be seeking is freedom. What decision is going to make you feel the most free? Not what your parents are saying, not what the church is saying, not what society is saying. What is going to make you feel the most free? And that's the whole point of this podcast, is Grounded Spirits. Like, groundedness is like figuring out like what makes you you, what do you love, what makes you unique, and like celebrating that, so that you will know what will make you the most free, which is like the spirit part. So when we say stay rooted and fly high, I'm saying stay rooted into who you are, what are your values, what will never shift. So that way you can fly high, because you will know what's going to make you feel the most free, because every day it's going to change. Something that made you feel free yesterday won't make you feel free today. And it's okay to change. And that's the whole point of life, is to change and to grow. And so what Taylor is getting out here is that as long as it doesn't matter. So for instance, let me give you an example. Right before the French Revolution, the common thing was you would do whatever your father did if you were a guy, right? Girls always got the short end of the stick. They just had to do like all the chores, right? All the housework. But for men, they felt like they didn't have a choice either. Whatever their dad did is what they had, the profession that their dad did, they would have to do it as well. Well, this guy, his name is Jacques. I want to say it's like Menitre, something like along those lines. His dad was like a glass installer, and he was like, nah, I'm good. Like, I'm just gonna go off and just walk around France and just write. And he did. And he had a very freeing life, like no matter what time period you lived in, you always have a choice. And I think that even today, like, so many people are influenced by what their parents want them to do. If it were up to me, I would have majored in history in my undergrad. But my parents were like, oh no, like, you have to pick something that you can get a job after. And so I ended up doing psychology and math, because I thought that kind of covered my basis to get a job in anything that I would want. And look at me, I went back to history, I'm writing this paper on Taylor Swift and Gabrielle Souchon, who was a 17th century philosopher, and yeah, like your heart won't know. How does Selena Gomez say it? The heart wants what it wants, and it's up to you to listen to it. And yeah, so it doesn't matter the time period. As long as you listen to your heart, you're gonna feel free. And by going towards that, so that's the positive freedom. Then the negative freedom, so the negative freedom is like living in constraints. So it's like the actual oppression, or how Taylor Swift says it here, getting married off for the highest bid. Like, these are constraints that are placed upon us by an oppressor, whether that's the government or society or parents or whoever's trying to oppress you. That oppression will just slide away as long as you keep doing what you love and allowing everything else to just fall into place, because it will. And that's the crazy part. But yeah, so that's what she's saying here. It was freezing in the palace because it doesn't matter what time period it was if you're not listening to your soul. Then she goes back to the chorus and says, I hate it here, so I will go to lunar valleys in my mind. When they found a gentle planet, when they found a better planet, only the gentle survived. I dreamed about it in the dark. The night I felt like I might die. So all of this part here is happening during Down Bad, where she's talking about this like alien abduction, and she's in this field. This is what she's talking about here. And I think she even says it there, with like trying to find a better planet. Let me see if I can pull it up really quick. Okay, here we go. So, yeah, she says, I'll build you a fort on some planet where they can all understand it. How dare you think it's romantic to leave me safe and stranded? So yeah, talking about that planet part, but here she says, like, I might just die, it would make no difference. So she's stranded out in this field. So then she goes back to no mid-sized city hopes and small town fears. I'm there most of the year because I hate it here. I'm lonely, but I'm good. I'm bitter, but I swear I'm fine. I'll save all my romanticism for my inner life, and I'll get lost on purpose. This place made me feel worthless. So this could be in the relationship with Joe, but it could also just be in society in general, that she does feel lonely. She calls herself a monster on the hill, right? But she says that she's good because at least she still has her dream, where she gets to express herself, writing songs and performing them. I'm bitter, but I swear I'm fine. So I think that's like the bitterness comes from like the prophecy, or how they say spinsters have like that bitterness. Not calling her a spinster by any means, but I think that's how she's viewing herself, especially after writing the prophecy. I'll save all my romanticism for my inner life, and I'll get lost on purpose. So I can completely understand this. I used to smoke every single day to have the romanticism in my inner life and get lost on purpose. I would allow my mind to just soar and get lost on purpose, and I feel like now that I've been touching down on reality more, I get lost on purpose, actually driving. Instead of taking the freeways, I'll take the streets and get lost on purpose, and then find something that will always, I've never actually been lost. I always find my way eventually, but it's fun in a way to allow yourself to feel lost in a good way, in a safe way. And I think that's what Taylor Swift has been trying to get at this whole time, is how can I express myself and be myself in a safe and protected way? And I think that's why she has to retreat to her inner life. Because that's when she says, this place made me feel worthless. That if I don't feel comfortable out here in the real world because everyone's shitting on me, then I have no choice but to go into my inner world where I do feel free. And I was talking about Gabrielle Souchon earlier, and she did the exact same thing. So it's just interesting. Like, I wonder, is this a woman thing? Is this just a humanity thing? Like, how does this work? And like, why do we go into the inner world? Yet it's not talked about. Like, why don't we know more about our inner world? We have all these maps in our outer world. We should have maps for our inner world so that we don't get lost, because some people actually do get like really lost, and then we see that like in movies and TV shows, like the lost souls, right? That they went too far into their inner world. Carlos Castaneda talks about this as well, where Don Juan has to like pull him out because he'll get lost into his inner world. And so that's my job, in a nutshell. On my Instagram, like my personal one, it's Laura Lynn. I consider myself a cartographer of the inner world, and I'm developing an inner world map. So it's called the Ornellian Inner Map. And yeah, it's been really cool how it's all been coming together. So more on that as it unravels. Back to I Hate It Here. So then it says, lucid dreams like electricity, the current flies through me, and in my fantasies I rise above it. And way up there, I actually love it. And I can so relate to this because, like I said, I would get high almost every single day. And way up there, I actually loved it. And I feel like this is an Aquarius thing, that it's really hard for us to connect to people like on like a ground level. Like, we're way happier up there in space to be able to look at everything and everybody and like to understand the collective. I feel like as Aquariuses, we can really understand the collective, but it's really hard to understand the individual. And I think that's what she's getting at here. I'll read it one more time just to make sure. Lucid dreams like electricity, the current flies through me. Yeah, so like this electricity, like you just feel like powerful, and you have this surge when you're in your inner world, and then you can connect so many dots. And I feel like that's why I loved being high, because all of these dots would connect, and I'd be able to understand the world, like the outer world, my inner world, my interpersonal, my intrapersonal relationships, and it literally felt like electricity was just flying through me. So much so like I'd feel like my hands would glow. And it's so cool because in the Emerald Tablets, Thoth, our narrator, talks about how to make the hands glow. So it's cool. Then she says the chorus again, and then she repeats the first lines again. The quick, tell me something awful, like you're a poet trapped inside the body of a finance guy. Because it is awful if you're hiding a part of yourself that needs to come out. Doesn't matter how trivial or how embarrassed you are. If it's a part of you, you have to love it and welcome it into the quote unquote real world. So yeah, and that's what we have here for I Hate It Here. Okay, so now we are on track 24. Thank you, aIMee. When I picture my hometown, there's a bronze spray-tan statue of you and a plaque underneath it that threatens to push me down the stairs at our school. And it was always the same searing pain, but I dreamed that one day I could say. So I feel this is pretty self-explanatory. It's literally describing Kim. And obviously we know it's about Kim, the way that it's capitalized in the song's title. But yeah, basically just saying like she was a bully and she had the same searing pain every time that she was bullying her. And so she dreamed. So again, with the dreaming, this has been very prevalent throughout all of the songs. That one day I could say, all that time you were throwing punches, I was building something. And I can't forgive the way you made me feel. Screamed, fuck you, aIMee, to the night sky as the blood was gushing. But I can't forget the way you made me heal. And So yeah, I feel like we've all had our haters, right? Where they're throwing punches and we have to just let them, because they don't know what we're building. They don't know how special we are. And they're just acting out of their own insecurities. And so we have to just let them. Like, there's literally nothing that we could do but protect ourselves, but without doing anything to them. We just have to protect ourselves, protect our peace, and hope that they'll stop. And then how she ends the chorus saying, I can't forget the way you made me heal. So like, yeah, like, you were the one that cut me up, but if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have had this motivation to keep going and to push harder and to make myself even better than I would have if I hadn't gone through this. And it's so interesting because I see this in my plants. I had two snake plants, and one was left outside and the other one was inside. We always had the AC on, so like 75 degrees, and it had the perfect light. It was perfect, right? Then we moved, and the one that was outside and went through the hardship is the only one that survived. The other one died because it wasn't used to the hardship. And so I feel like it's the same thing here, that Taylor's saying that because of the hardship, she was able to grow tougher skin, and so she was able to get even better. Then she continues in the verse, and it wasn't a fair fight or a clean kill each time that aIMee stomped across my grave. And then she wrote headlines in the local paper, laughing, again with the laughing, at every baby step I'd take, and it was always the same searing pain, but I prayed that one day I could say. So again, just calling her a bully, saying like that it wasn't a fair fight. She even says it in Reputation. She's like, I was so dumb that I brought a knife to a gunfight, so of course, like, I was shot. But yeah, stomping across her grave, writing headlines, laughing at every baby step she'd take. So again, just the bullying. All that time you were throwing punches, I was building something, and I couldn't wait to show you it was real. Screamed, fuck you, aIMee, to the night sky as the blood was gushing, but I can't forget the way you made me heal. So this was the only difference is in the first chorus, she says, and I can't forget the way you made me feel, can't forgive the way you made me feel. And the second one is, I couldn't wait to show you it was real. That I have been working on something, and whether you wanted to believe it or not, like, it's finally here, and I'm so excited to show you that it's real. Then she says, everyone knows that my mother is a saintly woman, but she used to say she wished that you were dead. I pushed each boulder up the hill. Your words are just ringing in my head. So I don't know why she felt the need to go that dark, to wish somebody dead, and then to put it on her mother, like, whether her mom said it or not. Like, I feel like, again, there has to be a line, right? To wish someone to be dead, especially because she's making it so obvious that it's about Kim. And that's the only thing that Kim said in regards to this song. She said, I would never wish anybody to be dead. Yeah, because I feel like that is too far. But again, this is supposed to be Taylor Swift being raw, and if that's how she feels, if that's what was said, then I guess put it in the song. But also, like, you could say that on your own time. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the song. And I think this is what also made me so upset about her changing the lyrics for Picture to Burn and for Better Than Revenge, because this is 10 times worse than what she said in those two songs, you know? So, like, why are you going to change the lyrics of past songs, yet this is fine, you know? But whatever. I push each boulder up the hill. So this is like the imagery that we get when we're climbing up a mountain. But she's saying, not only did I climb the mountain, but I had to roll boulders up that mountain as I climbed it. With her words just ringing in her head. Like, again, this was like her motivation. Like, oh yeah, like, okay, like like, it's like when someone tells you can't do something, it makes you want to do it 10 times more. And I feel like that's also an Aquarius thing. I wrote 1,000 songs that you find uncool. I built a legacy that you can't undo. But when I count the scars, there's a moment of truth that there wouldn't be this if there hadn't been you. So, again, that's why she's actually thanking her this time, you know? But she's saying, like, that she's unstoppable, you know? Like, you can keep trying to push me down. It won't matter because I have built a legacy that you can't undo. There's nothing that you can do to ruin what I've built. When the whole thing for like that famous music video thing went down, Taylor Swift really thought that her career was over, that they had taken the crown and she was done for. And now she's saying, like, it doesn't matter if you find my songs uncool, it doesn't matter what you think of me anymore, because I have a legacy that you cannot undo. So this time she's actually thanking her. And maybe you've reframed it, and in your mind, you never beat my spirit black and blue. So many people have told Taylor Swift, like, oh, get over it, like, it happened in the past, like, whatever. And she hasn't been able to forget it because no one was able, like, we see it in Cassandra, where no one took her side, and she's mad. She's mad that everyone just brushed it off like it was no big deal when they actually, like, really hurt her. And that's what she's saying, like, you don't even know how bad you hurt me, and you can't even admit that you beat my spirit black and blue. That's how bad it hurt, and you can't even apologize. So then she says, I don't think you've changed much, and so I changed your name and any real defining clues. And of course that's sarcasm because she literally has her name, you know, capitalized, even though she did change her name with aIMee instead of Kim, but it's fairly obvious. And one day your kid comes home singing a song that only us two is gonna know is about you. But that's the part that I don't really get, because we all know that it's about Kim, and I wonder, like, what her kids, like, does she talk to her kids about this? Like, oh, there's a song about me? Or is this a possibility that her kids are gonna come home singing this song? Like, are they Taylor Swift fans? Like, just because your mom doesn't like her doesn't mean that you can't like her, right? Then she sings the chorus again, but this time she says, all this time you were throwing punches, it was all for nothing. And our town, it looks so small from way up here. Scream thank you, aIMee, to the night sky, and the stars are stunning, 'cause I can't forget the way you made me heal. So yeah, she's saying, like, she's grown so much that the town looks so small. The town of, like, the incident of what actually happened, it looks so small compared to where she is now. And that it really is all for nothing, because now she has a legacy that you can't undo, you know? Like, you could throw all the punches that you want, it's not going to make a difference. It really is all for nothing. Because from way up here to the night sky, the stars are stunning, and I'm one of them now. And then she says the thing about her mom again, and that's it. Your words are just ringing in my head. Thank you, aIMee. Thank you, aIMee. So yeah, I think it's, like, cool to look back at, like, your bully and to, like, thank them and say that, like, thank you for making me tougher and stronger, like how they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And yeah, so there's not much else I can say about this song. So I guess that's where we will end it today. Next time we'll go over track 25, I Look in People's Windows, track 26, The Prophecy, and track 27, Cassandra. And Cassandra is, like, the sequel for Thank You, aIMee. So stay tuned for that. Bye, everybody.